Welcome on in, members of the chapter, and as I have said before, I am a big fan of the Thousand Sons. Again, they are my favorite Traitor Legion, and I believe that these Horus Heresy action figures may actually be a step above their Warhammer 40k counterparts, just because of the different designs as well as the armors. But at any rate, we are going to be taking a look at the Khenetai Occult Cabal Blademaster in this particular video. So without further ado, let's get to the review. I've been so used to reviewing Terminator-sized action figures that I have sort of lost the size perspective for this normal action figure, as you can see. However, one of the things that I do appreciate about the JoyToy line of Thousand Sons is that the continuity that is found in all of their armors, love it or hate it. They all sport this spicy, shiny candy apple red with delicious golden flake embedded in the armor. That being said, it is time to put this figure under the microscope. With regard to the helmet area, this guy is rocking a rather simplistic design that is actually quite reminiscent of a 40k MK10 helmet design, as you can see with this Blood Angels here. I say that because the vents on this helmet look very much like what Belisarius called design for his modern day warriors right here. Aside from that, there's a lot of cooking going on with the head area in the usage of the gold, which contrasts brilliant with the metallic green lenses. Interestingly enough, with regards to the pauldron and arms, there's really nothing too much that can be found here by the way of any iconography whatsoever. We're so used to seeing the scarabs or the Legion 15 being screened onto the pauldrons. However, instead of screening, we are given these 3D half golden spheres that are studded for her or maybe his pleasure on each pauldron. As I said, there's a continuity in that the matte white and the glittery red is also used on the pauldrons of the Sekhmet Cabal Terminators. The arms really match with the armor, but have some cayenne spice to set them apart from the flatness of the rest of the armor in the form of this brilliant terracing effect. The broad chest of this action figure is mainly flavored by a large golden winged scarab. I have to admit that this design of the scarab is a bit milquetoast because there is no texturization whatsoever on the wings of the scarab. In contrast, this texture is found on the Cabal as well as the Traitor. Either way, the scarab is unique looking in that it has two larger wings and then two smaller ones for greater contrasting effect. The torso area is quite tasteless with no flavor whatsoever compared to most Marines, whether it be Horus Heresy or 40k. This torso literally has no pipes, no hoses, or any kind of markings whatsoever. Now, typically the belt buckle region is dominated by some insane looking cowboy buckle, but this one sports a very simple one. The only spice in the waist area are this gunmetal frag and crack grenade that are attached to the right side, and then this empty holster that is on the left hand side. The empty holster actually has some kind of texture that is given to it by the usage of creases, but nothing in this area is highlighted at all. With regards to the legs and the lower part, as I have said before, the lower part of a Space Marine body typically is the weakest area, and this action figure proves me right. The whole entire right side of this figure looks like a glittery hot dog with almost no features whatsoever. The only thing that defines this area is this grooved section that can be found in the back of the calf area of the armor. Now, the right side seems to have all these seasonings with more of these gold half spheres that are ribbed for my pleasure. These serve as a very stark contrast to the rest of the lower half. These backpacks really remind me of the ones that are seen out of the 2nd edition starter box with the Blood Angels versus the Orcs. This really takes me back with the designs of the gunmetal hoses that are found in the lower half of the backpack. You can very clearly see the vents to accompany the hoses on top of this very prominent golden fan at the center of the backpack. As a side comment, I really wish that the MK10 backpacks on my left hand side looks as distinguished as this one. With regards to the bolt pistol, the colors that are used on this weapon are quite unique because of the white casing with the golden accents. For some odd reason, I find that looking at the white section almost looks like plain marble. To stand out from the white and the gold, the gunmetal handle and trigger sticks out quite significantly. Oh, to add to the stew, this magazine right here is removable too. So with regards to these two Akia Force weapons, these blades are clearly modeled after an Egyptian Khopesh yet again, which can be found on the Terminator Cabal as well as the Terminator Traitor. These weapons are a brilliant, bold gold, which have absolutely no shading to dull the lustrous sheen of the gold. To accent the gold, there is a shiny silver that can be found at the end of the blades, as well as more silver to further accentuate the brilliantness of the gold. And this is the comparison of the Akia Force weapon that can be found in the Sekhmet Terminator Cabal. So you can clearly see that there is a fairly large difference in size. And speaking of size, there is a fairly clear difference in size between this regular Space Marine versus the one that is in the Cataphracti Terminator armor. The top of the helmet clearly comes to the bottom of this area right here on the Terminator. And while we are talking about size, I also have a Mark 10 Blood Angels right here, and it would appear that the Blademaster is slightly taller than this Primaris, which is a little bit odd when you are looking at the lore. Let's talk about movement. In general, when I'm operating this action figure, I feel as if the joints are a little bit more fluid, more flowy than a 40K action figure. Perhaps JoyToy did some improvements to the joints to make them feel that way. Perhaps I will do a 40K versus a Horus Heresy grunt teardown video in the near future. Anyway, 360-degree rotation can be achieved very readily about the head. There is plenty of tilting motion left to right, as well as forwards and backwards that can be achieved. The shoulder joints move like a hot knife through butter, and it can be rotated very easily 360 degrees. About this axis, the arms can be rotated 360 degrees again. The elbows are double jointed as usual and have a good amount of range of motion. This chest and torso area can be rotated 360 degrees right here with absolutely no issue whatsoever. As you can see, the torso to hip area is the same as well with 360 degrees of uninhibited rotation. The legs about the hip area again rotate 360 degrees like a very limber and flexible young human. This upper thigh region can be rotated around 360 degrees with no issues whatsoever. And the flexibility in the knees are absolutely insane. And the reason why I say this is because this action figure is double jointed and can achieve a near almost 180 degrees of rotation about this knee joint, which I don't believe very many action figures can do this. And finally, this ankle joint can be spun around 360 degrees like the person that is seen in Poltergeist and can achieve a lot of lateral movements. So overall, I think this is one of the most limber action figures that JoyToy has released to date. And so that is the very exhaustive and detailed review. It's time to wrap this one up. All right, Thousand Suns enjoyers. In terms of this action figure, I would say that the decorations tends to be a little bit more basic than all the Terminators that we have reviewed in the past on this channel. I just think that it would be nice to have a little bit more of like more amulets, more decorations, maybe even more screening on this action figure. Again, he tends to look a little bit plain. I would have to say that the movement when I'm operating this action figure is fluid and uninhibited, and I think that's probably one of the best that I've ever actually articulated. So obviously, if you are a devout Thousand Suns fan, go ahead and pick this one up. And where should you pick this up? Well, you should pick this one up at David Toys, where I get all of my action figures. They have a very fantastic user-friendly interface that is clean, and you're able to find anything with just a few clicks. And before you check out, do not forget to use the code SNS to receive 12% off on your total purchase, because we need to keep that money in our pockets so that we can buy yet more action figures. Closing out, folks, I love to thank you, and that is not going to change. I thank you all for watching these videos. It really helps the channel grow, and it helps the channel to get noticed. The bigger the chapter expands, the better it will be. So thank you once again for all those who leave a comment. Hit that like button as well as subscribe. Very thankful to each and every single one of you, and I'll see you all in the next one.